Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Around the Dinner Table podcast. I am your host, as always, Nick. I am here with my dad, Mike, as always, as well.
Hi, everyone.
We are a topical. Wow, topical. I can talk today.
Topical, yeah.
I'm thinking of a Yes album here. A topical podcast. Where we each bring a topic to the table. Once a week, we meet once a week. We record usually on Wednesday, today's Thursday. So Wednesday or Thursday, and we upload every Monday. This is our second one. We're kind of getting back into the run of, we used to do one, but kind of getting back into it, so I'm a little stumbly here. Eventually, I'll be good at this.
Nah,
probably never, but that's okay. But we'll first kind of bring ourselves in. I had a interesting story. It happened last week, but it's kind of, we were all the recording stuff last week. I couldn't really tell it, and I really, excuse my voice crack, but the all the hecticness of last week and the recording, I kind of forgot about the story. But I had one of those kind of Ted Lasso type lesson stories. So there I was.
There I was, like a sea story.
Hold my beer. No, I was doing food delivery. I do that, for part-time and just to make extra money and stuff like that, pay some bills. So I was doing my food delivery, got my food, and I had to go to the deep woods of Middleburg. And those of you who don't live in the Jacksonville, Florida area, Middleburg is technically a suburb of a suburb. It is the suburb of Orange Park, which is a suburb of Jacksonville. So it's way, you're going.
Yeah, it's probably turning into more of a suburb of Jacksonville.
Is it now?
Slowly, but, well, maybe not slowly.
Yeah, well, parts of it are very quickly doing it.
Yeah, it's grown quite a lot.
Yeah.
The 25 years that we've lived here, so.
But I got pushed, I had to go to this far down, Blanding, way down there. And the further you get from Orange Park, it gets more, what we joke around, it's Middleburgy. It gets...
We'll call it country.
It's very country, very, very country. And, one of those turn off the paved road onto the dirt road. And I'd make it sound bad. Parts of it are bad, but, it's not all that bad. So I knew about where this place I had to go was. And it's what it is. It's a really nice neighborhood, but they're nothing but like trailers, but they're well-kept yards, fences, nice fences all around them. And there's like probably 30 of them. And it's kind of it's like a neighborhood looking thing, like this neighborhood, but they're a bunch of like trailers. They're what they call manufactured homes.
Yeah,
they're kind of the same kind. There's some of those mixed in there. These are these people obviously don't want to live in the city. They want to be away, and there's nothing wrong with that. Well, I passed that house, and I'm way out there, and I'm going, okay, I know that house. I'm there once or twice a week. That's weird. I've never gone this far down. So I'm driving. All of a sudden it says turn right. So the GPS says turn right. So I turn right. And there's nothing. It's woods, both sides. And it's barely wide enough for the truck. And I'm like, oh, great. Now we're going to scratch the truck up with trees. This is wonderful. Dad will love that. But so I'm going. It's ending. I see it ending. And I don't see a house. And then it goes, turn right. Well, I get to the end of the road. I look to my right, and I'm like, there's no right, there's no road. Well, there was, and it was these two, it looked like somebody drove side by side through, knocked down the trees. And I pushed all the trees out of the way, or the branches out of the way. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's the road. So I've taken that road. All these like deliverance thoughts are running through my head. Like, what is about to happen to me? Well, I go in, as soon as I get through these bushes, I'm thinking, where the hell am I going? I'm going through, and it has a road sign there, but it's covered up. You can see it, but bushes of overgrowth has covered it. So I turn down it, and I'm kind of slowly doing it. I get a text message from the person who says, oh, you lost, I'll meet you outside. I said, I think I'm at your home. And so I pull up. It's like they cleared just enough trees to wedge in a home. But if this home had a back door, you can't use it. they have a side door, you can't use it because the trees are on, boom, and there's a whole load on the back. And it was a double wide, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it was just like, how did they get it back here? It's my first thought. Like, how did this get back here? Maybe that's why there's a little lane here. So I'm thinking, okay, who's coming out to meet me for this delivery? And then you start running through your head. Is this door going to fly open and be some dude with a shotgun or something? Because you have a name, but the names are, everybody uses each other's accounts. You really don't know. So I'm like, oh, great, here we go. So I'm getting everything ready, start to open the door. I look up, and the door flies open. I'm like, oh, I'm about to die. Out comes possibly the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. This, Florida beach body girl. I mean, she's probably in her mid-20s, comes running out of there, all happy that I'm there with her food, and I'm just like, completely not expecting this. I'm just sitting there going, oh my goodness. Okay, hi. This is too much. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do here. And she's southern as it can be. Hi, how are you? So how are you? Sorry, it's hard to find the place. My daddy bought the land. He was going to build something here, but you know how that goes. I said, oh yeah, I do. And she goes, I got my food. I said, yeah, there you go. She goes, well, you need help to get out because it's kind of a tight turn. And so she helped me get the truck turned around and out of there. And as I'm driving down the road, I'm thinking to myself, that was weird, And then all of a sudden she tips me extra. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I'm expecting this whole other situation, a whole different type of person, and what comes out is completely different. So my Ted Lasso lesson today is, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Don't be judgmental. Be curious, I guess. Because that was the funniest thing. I just started kind of laughing the whole way. Like, that was the most weird interaction I've ever had doing this. It was funny. It's happened the other way, right? Where you drive into the nice neighborhood and you pull up to a house. It's a nice looking house, and then as you come around, and it is just trash all the way to the front door. You're like, okay. But you go here, it's
just the opposite.
Just complete opposite. And it was funny, and it was one of those kind of made me think, like, some people, it's not that you're just a redneck because you live out there or you're hillbilly or whatever. It's just some people don't want to be around other people.
Exactly.
And they could be as attractive as they want to be. They could be as dirty as they want to be. Doesn't matter, And it's like, that was a kind of little life lesson there for
sure. If you don't know who Ted Lasso is, you should.
You should.
That's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It's 3 seasons on Apple TV Plus.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Prime? Apple TV
Apple
Plus.
TV Plus, yeah.
Or I thought it was on Prime.
No, it's Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one of the reasons I still have it, because I still like to put it on once in a while.
Yeah, I've watched it I don't know how many times. It's a fantastic show. You should really watch it. Yeah, the first episode's kind of shaky, but once you get through that.
Well, it's very much a setup episode.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, there's some great life lesson things in that, and it's funny when you have one in real life. You're like, oh, I should not have put these preconceived notions in my head of what I was walking into. Instead, I walked into a completely different situation with a very nice person who's just the sweetest can be, possibly one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And she was gorgeous. I was like, okay, this is the weirdest thing I've ever done, but all right, But that's that was my fun little story, my funny little story there. Since I went first last week and babbled on for probably way too long about a movie. Even though I kind of shortened up that podcast.
Yeah, that podcast got real short because we were redoing it and it fell flat. So
it did. Yeah.
Hopefully this one will be a little better. We don't want to have to redo these anymore.
Yeah, I feel a lot better today than I did then too.
Yeah, me too. I was tired. I sounded tired on there. So.
Yeah, I did too. It was bad. It was just a bad day. But
so hopefully we'll get better here.
But I figure we're
out of practice anyway. So.
I figure we'll let you go first, and I will take second. So.
Well, my topic was going to be food, not, necessarily like we need food to live, or I like food, obviously, if you look at me, but food, the dangers of our food, and our food is not probably as good as we think it is, but I decided to narrow that down a little bit, and I'll talk more about the food maybe later today. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but I want to talk specifically about lactose intolerance and milk and dairy products in general, milk specifically, I guess. And the reason I thought about this, I thought about it a lot the last year, because your mother is very lactose intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
You are lactose
Yes,
intolerant.
very. Yeah.
And Matthew is, even though he doesn't want to admit it.
No, no.
So he denies it. But he is lactose intolerant, and it's not good. I mean, you know, you take a drink of milk or something, or you can eat all kinds of things that have dairy in them that you don't realize has dairy. And all of a sudden you're like, man, what did I eat? Oh my God, you know, and you get the cramps and the gas and the diarrhea and all those nasty things that come with lactose intolerance.
Always.
Fortunately, I don't have it. I thank goodness. But the reason I'm bringing this topic up is because when we went to France last year, I know I talk a lot about France, but sorry, but it's just what it is. Your mom and I went to a cafe the first full day that we were there and ordered cappuccinos. Mm-hmm. And drink our cappuccinos, we're just fine. And the next day, we're with Matt and Jam at the same, I think we might have been the same cafe, I'm not sure, in Cannes. And your mom said, I don't really want a cappuccino. I want some kind of coffee. And I said, well, how about cafe creme, which is coffee and cream. Just what it says, cafe creme. Oh, yeah, I'll try some of that. And then after we ordered it, I thought, you got, you know, there's the cream, you know, it's just, I got my lactose pills, you know, those lactate or whatever they're called. You know,
she still takes them correctly, but she doesn't.
Yeah, but hey, they help. So I have some with me, you know, and it happens. Well, and then we just kind of forgot about it. And days later, all of a sudden it dawns on us like, I have not had a single stomachache since we've been here. We drank coffee, cafe creme, eating cheese, you know, eating all this French food, this rich French food with a lot of dairy, things like that, and, you know, sandwiches, you know, all these things with cheese, and she's perfectly fine. So, me being curious, the Ted Lasso thing here, be curious. I'm always curious anyway. I thought, I gotta figure out what's the difference? Why is she not getting sick from this when we are at home? She can't get anywhere near soft cheeses or cream. Oh my God, sour cream is almost deadly. You know, you can't. And so I looked into it a little bit. Didn't really come up with anything conclusive. Later on last year, we went to Canada, and it's the same story. You know, we go to this little coffee place near where we were staying, near our Airbnb. Order up some coffee. She puts cream in it. Nothing. No ill effects whatsoever. Eating food, not once in the week or so that we were there was she ever had an issue with lactose intolerance. So then I'm getting real curious now. So I started trying to figure out what are the differences between the milk and the dairy products that we have and the stuff they have in Europe, Great Britain, and Canada, you know, all around the world, really. And there's only a couple of things that there's nothing conclusive, but the two things that I found are, one is hormones. Our milk has RBST in it, which is, gosh, I can't remember. It's, hold on one second, I'm sorry, I lost my link for RBST. It's a hormone that increases the production of dairy in the cows. You know, they give more milk, I guess is the best way to say it. It's recombined bovine growth hormone, RB. Yeah, it's a growth hormone. We use it here in the United States, and our food people, our regulators, say that it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. However, RBST is banned in the European Union, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and Argentina, and Great Britain. Because they think it may cause breast, prostate, and colon cancer. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, well, could it cause lactose intolerance? And so I started digging around and trying to find out stuff on that, and it's inconclusive. They say no, but they suspect it may cause cancer. But our FDA or whoever regulates milk, whether it's the FDA or the
That totally
You
came
know,
through.
yeah, I'm sure it did. A little
Sorry,
motorcycle action there.
we had a Richard Hammond go by us here at full speed.
Anyway, it's inconclusive whether it would cause that or not. So that's one big difference. Another difference in the milk is the pasteurization process. We use our milk is pasteurized with a HTST, high temperature, short time. So they blast it with high temperature for a short period of time. I don't know what the time frame is. I'm not sure how they would do it, but it kills, quote unquote, most bacteria. Most. Doesn't kill it all. That's why we have to refrigerate our milk. So, but you go to a store in France and you buy milk off the shelf. It's not refrigerated. It comes in a little carton, sometimes in a bag.
That's weird. I didn't know.
But it's on the shelf. Well, what they do in other countries, and Canada included, is UHT, ultra high temperatures. They process the milk with ultra high temperature. And then it dawned on me, it's like, I have drank UHT milk before. When I was in the Navy, you know, you go on a cruise, on a deployment, on a cruise somewhere, on an aircraft carrier. After about 2.5, 3 weeks, you run out of fresh milk. And fresh milk is kind of hard to transport from one place to another to replenish. You know, we do underway replenishments where you get fresh food and we get some fresh veggies and stuff, but we rarely got fresh milk because it's kind of hard to transport that. The only time we got it was when we were in port somewhere. You know, then they'd replenish the milk and you'd get fresh American milk, I guess you'd call it. And so UHT milk, I had it a lot. It tastes a little different. Some people don't like it. I kind of got used to it because the only time I drink a lot of milk anyway is put in my cereal, so it was never a big deal. As long as it's good and cold, grab a carton of that, dump it in your cereal, I was good to go. Didn't bother me. But it does taste different. But anyway, that is different. That's the difference. You know, that's another big difference is the UHT milk as opposed to the way we do it. And does that cause lactose intolerance? Well, the bacteria issue might. There might be something there. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just digging around trying to find information on this stuff. And again, like I said, there's nothing conclusive on it. It's just weird to me that you can go from one place to another and drink the milk and be perfectly fine.
I had a similar thing when we all went to France, and I had a croque madame. What's the one with the fried egg on it, right?
That's I think there's croque monsieur, for those that don't know, croque monsieur and croque madame. The difference is it's basically a ham sandwich with a bunch of cheese on it and bechamel sauce, and one of them has the egg on top and the other one doesn't, and I don't remember which. I think it's the madame that has the egg.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, I ate that.
Delicious. They are so good.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
I had hot cocoa with real cream, whipped cream, and I had cafe creme, and I never, it's probably TMI, but I had normal, like I was going to the bathroom normally. You know, I didn't have cramps, I didn't have anything, but I found that with a lot of the food. I don't know. And I guess it gets into a whole bigger subject with food.
Yeah, yeah, so I can get into it if you want.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I mean, I can go for it. But basically, the milk thing, to sum that up, is I couldn't really find anything conclusive. Some people are saying, a lot of people are saying it's because you walk more. Like, we drive to the restaurant and we eat at the restaurant and we drive home. Or we eat in our house and we don't, you know, if you go for a walk after dinner, it helps with digestion. And blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of that, maybe. But
because they sit for hours at restaurants.
Oh, they do. Yeah, when you go to dinner in Europe, you start at, like 8 o'clock, and you might be there for 2 or 3 hours. You know, and it's after you get used to it, it's kind of good.
So I don't. That doesn't make much sense. Like, so yeah, they walk around more, but they're still sitting.
Yeah, so I don't know. But anyway, the milk thing was weird, and And it got me to thinking about another issue that we had in Canada. Your aunt Angela, who went with us to Canada, she has a hard time with fried food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes she gets indigestion and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I do too on occasion. Yeah, I think we probably all do. You know, you eat too much fried food. But we were eating, you know, whole belly fried clams, which I love, and things like that up there, and she never had an issue.
Hmm.
So what's the difference with the food? But I don't know. I mean, fried food, I don't know. Who knows? You know.
Could be the oil.
But our food in general, you know, you and I have watched this documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
Called Poison, The Dirty Truth About Your Food.
Mm-hmm.
You need to watch that.
Oh, yeah.
That is really good.
Oh, trust me, I'll have a list.
Yeah.
My top.
Yeah, that's a good documentary to watch about food. But so I started digging into the food thing, and one thing I really kind of shocking, and this is not just a U.S. problem. This is kind of a worldwide problem. Is that, you know, our food is controlled by a handful of companies. Mm-hmm. And it's not good for consumers, and it's not good for, you know, farmers or anybody. Really, it's really not good for anybody. The one example is the candy industry. You know, your candy bars. Did you know that 2 companies control 75% of the candy market?
Oh, I believe that.
Hershey and Mars.
Yeah. I was going to say Mars has to be one. Hershey.
75%. A monopoly, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You know, and what led me down this rabbit hole was talks about inflation. And I don't watch the news on TV. So, you know, you can turn on your news and say inflation is rampant and it's all Joe Biden's fault. And you can turn on another channel and say, well, you know, yeah, there's inflation, but it's getting better and blah, 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 blah. The problem with some of this inflation is corporate greed.
I agree, Matt.
You know, when you control 75% of the market, you can set the price. And they do. They do. The funny thing is, all these food companies and all these candy companies and stuff, during this high inflation, their profits did not go down.
No.
You think they would, right?
Yeah, because costs would go up.
Costs would go up.
Inflation.
No, sir.
Huh.
Their profits have gone up significantly.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can blame some of this inflation on the food industry itself. And it's really kind of amazing when you start digging into it that a handful of powerful companies control the majority of the market share, almost 80% of our food that you go to the grocery store, aisles and aisles of food, 80% of it is controlled by 10 companies.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 companies. And it's crazy. You know, and I found a website here that breaks it all down for you. You can look at pasta. Who controls the pasta market? Barilla, Abro Foods, and Treehouse Foods. 3 companies control the whole friggin' thing.
And there's shelves full of pasta.
And there's shelves full of different brands of pasta.
But they're all owned by 3.
Yeah, breakfast cereals. This is a good one. Breakfast cereals. 3 companies control. Kellogg's, General Mills, and Post.
Yeah.
There's some others in there. But not very many, and they don't control very much.
Just enough for them to say, "Hey, look, we're not monopoly."
It is so it's crazy, you know. Bottled water. Oh, that's I could do a podcast on bottled water.
Oh,
I mean, we can do that.
We might need to. But I can do one on business and entertainment.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
I would love to do one on that.
But bottled water is Nestle, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Talking Rain. They only own 4% of it, but Nestle's almost 25% of the bottled water market.
Yeah, I believe that. And they have like 5 different brands of that. It's
all
Nestle.
Yeah, it's all Nestle.
They all say
it's amazing. It is just so crazy. And a beer. Let's see if I can find the beer on this chart. This is a chart here where you can scroll down. Okay, let's look at tuna. Canned tuna. 4 companies. Dongwon Industries. I don't know what they are, but they own almost half of it. I don't know who they are. I'd have to look that up. But you know, it's really amazing, and kind of sad. You know, cheese, Kraft, Kraft and Sargento own 30%. right off the top. You know,
I believe that. Yeah.
you know, eggs too. You wouldn't think eggs would be a thing that is controlled by a
I've
few
often wondered
companies.
because they all have the same containers.
The biggest company is Cal Maine.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of shocking when you read this thing. Refrigerated whole milk. Dairy Farmers of America. That sounds sketchy to me.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds like a, you know, but you know, it's not good for us. I don't think. You know, they again they control it, and this was all done through mergers and stuff in the last 20 years,
Yeah.
15 or 20 years. And I was reading a thing during the Nixon administration that his Secretary of the Agriculture told farmers, "You need to get big or go away."
Yeah.
And look what's happened to the farmers.
Yeah.
And you know, farmers and people that work in the fields, bringing these products out to the processors, only get about 15 cents on the dollar. So you know the farm strikes. You know the farmers in France where they're blocking all
Yeah.
the roads with their farm equipment. Yeah, they're doing
Legitimate
that for a
complaints.
reason.
Yeah.
Legitimate complaints. I mean, they're not making any money.
It's like that in a lot of things, though. You look at the mergers across entertainment industry, retail. Look at retail. Unless there's a Walmart in your town, you got to go to a Dollar General. I mean, it's at that point now. We're getting to that.
Yeah,
You look
mom
at-
and pop stores are gone.
Yeah, you look at Kroger. Kroger is the largest, I think, the largest in America. And you look at how many they own. I mean, they own Fry's. They own, God, I mean, it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
They're a massive company.
Yeah, you know, Pepsi Company, they own 88% of the dip market. You know,
The
salsas, chip dips,
The Pepsi
salsas.
company.
Pepsi owns 88% of that.
What if they own like this? What is it? It's not Lay's.
They own Tostitos, Lay's,
Yeah.
Fritos.
Oh, they do.
Oh,
own
yeah,
all that.
yeah, they own
Shit.
all that. Yeah, 93% of the sodas we drink are owned by just 3 companies.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Same goes for breakfast cereal. 73% are owned by 3 companies.
You know, we better for any of it.
No,
We have better food.
absolutely not. No, our food is not better. You know, let me look at beer. 'Cause I like beer.
Yeah. That'd be,
But Anheuser-Busch InBev, which is now a Dutch company, by
yeah,
the way,
yes, they are.
is 41% of the market share.
Yep.
And they have gone out and bought up a whole bunch of microbrews.
Yeah, they bought one of my favorite, Four Peaks in Arizona. One of
Yeah,
my favorite.
yeah, they've gone out. So you can't beat them, just buy them.
Yeah.
And I get that. You know, if I'm a brewer and I started making my beers and it's kind of taken off and I'm doing okay, you know, and some company like Anheuser-Busch comes in and say, "Hey, we want to buy your brewery, give you $4 or $5 million." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." You
cool.
know, sure. You know, yeah. You
Well,
know,
the weird with I know with Budweiser they bought Four Peaks back in Arizona. Four Peaks is very, very good. They the guys who started it under the contract, they bought, I don't know how much money. It was more than 4 or 5 million. It was quite a bit. They had to stay there for a certain amount of time, and the recipes all had to stay within Four Peaks. So only thing Budweiser did was take some off the top, money off the top, and bottle it. That's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
all they did.
Now, you know, one of the original microbrew companies, Boston Beer Company, which makes Samuel Adams, they signed a distribution deal with Anheuser-Busch. But Anheuser-Busch doesn't own
Yeah, yeah,
the company.
Yeah,
They just distribute the beer.
yeah
for
they're
that's
still
why
independent.
that's why you see it nationwide.
And that's why you see the independent label on, like the little upside down beer bottle on the bottles. That little label, that's an independent beer company. So
But yeah, they own a lot of the smaller beers now, and you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you pick it up and you look at it and you go, you know. And sometimes I get suspicious of them, and I'll look it up. I will look it up because I'm curious. Like I said, I'm curious enough, and I will look it up and see who owns this beer. You know, is this really a local beer company? You know.
sorry, that whine you hear is my little dog. Sorry, he's over here whining. I can hear him through the mic.
But you know, the whole food thing is bad. It's bad for farmers.
Mhm.
It's bad for pricing for us. We pay. I'm sure our food prices are inflated because of it. I know they are.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you blame politicians or you can blame whoever you want for inflation, but some of it goes right here.
Yeah.
Not all of it. Not all of it. I'm not saying that the politicians are innocent because they're not. They're not. You know, But to blame one person, Joe Biden, for inflation, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
you need to start
You're looking for a quick solution to a massive problem.
Yeah. There's a button in the White House. Did you know where you push it and inflation goes up or down?
Really? I did not know this.
Yeah. That's how it works.
But you see it in a lot of things. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts that are about video games. I love video games, and they talk about that. You have Microsoft bought up most of the American game companies.
Oh, sure.
And and you have Embracer Group who owns the rest, and then you have like Sony and Nintendo who own a couple of independent ones. You have a few independent ones like EA and Square Enix, but in Square it used to be SquareSoft and Enix, and then they joined. So, and then they always ask the question: we getting better products?
No.
And we're not.
No.
We are just not in the game industry. Like I haven't played a new game out. I'm still playing Horizon Forbidden West, which came out for PS5 2 years ago, because I'm not finding anything that's catching my attention like that game did.
Yeah.
We're not getting a better product. And the same with you go to like Walmart, so you look at the retail space. You're not getting good service in these places most of the time.
No.
Sometimes you do, and I know everybody's working hard. They are, but they're
underpaid.
They're underpaid and understaffed on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's a number. When you're in a corporation that big, you're just whatever, and it's just not good. It's not a good environment. And then you're seeing it in grocery stores. Like luckily down here, I think Publix is fairly independent.
They are independent.
They are independent, and they still, I don't know if they're publicly traded.
I don't know
either. But that's kind of seems to be the death knell, because you look at the difference. I always point out to people. I talk about. And it is a food-related one. You take In-N-Out Burger on the West Coast. God bless In-N-Out Burger. Just want to put that out there. And then you take McDonald's.
Oh yeah. In-N-Out.
In-N-Out pays their employees starting $20 an hour in Arizona. McDonald's does it $12 because it's the minimum wage. The food quality between the two is astronomical. So how are they? And In-N-Out is cheaper.
It is cheaper. You can buy an In-N-Out burger, a single hamburger, cheeseburger for $3.50.
Yeah. If you want fries and a drink, at the most it's going to cost you $7 or $8.
Yeah. So they pay their employees $20 an hour. So don't tell me that we can't pay people.
Yeah.
That's what's the bullshit?
But you know what it is? It's when they become publicly traded, and this is a common thing, when suddenly
it's all about the bottom line.
Yep, because now your responsibility is not to your employees and to your customers, it's to the people who are wanting to siphon as much money out of you.
It's to the shareholder. Yeah. That's who it is.
And it's a kind of a weird, it's a good system in that you can grow, because you need, like I've always said, you need a corporation to have an iPhone. That has to be a corporate kind of entity, I think. That's something that needs to be established in there. You got to have one to have a PlayStation. You got to have one to have these TVs. I understand all of that, but we don't need one to have a retail store.
Well, and I'm not anti-capitalist either.
No,
capitalism
not at all.
Works.
No.
Capitalism works, but
the way we're doing it
we have too many monopolies going on right now. And let me tell you a story about bottled water. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Water.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
Here locally, we have a bottled water plant.
Mm-hmm.
Niagara is the company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not too far from here, and you drive by, there's huge operation. I mean, this building is massive. And where do you think they get their water?
The same gross tap
The
water?
same freaking place I get my tap water.
Mm-hmm.
The same place. They got an agreement with the county, Clay County, Florida here, where they siphon off a bunch of the water and filter it because it's terrible. We filter it here at home too because it's just not, it tastes awful. It's clean and it's good and it's safe, but it just tastes
like
bad.
chlorine.
Yeah, it just tastes bad. So we always filter our drinking water. And they're selling that stuff for 20, 30, 50 times what they're paying for it. I don't know what they pay.
Yeah,
I know our water rates just went up recently, and I hope theirs did, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. They probably discounted theirs.
That's why yours went up.
That's why mine went up. But so you drive by there and thinking, I will drink bottled water, but only in rare circumstances. Like if I'm traveling somewhere and and you stop to get gas and you're thirsty, I get a bottle of water. It's nice and convenient. Or you're going on a hike or you do something like that. But most of the time I carry my little water bottle with me and I drink tap water, filtered tap water, because bottled water's a friggin' ripoff.
Yeah, I love my flavored, like bubbly. I drink the Aldi version of that. I love those. I buy those, but they're not. I mean, the Aldi one's what, $3.79 for a 12-pack.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not getting.
Well, that's a little different thing. I'm talking about taking tap
water
and filtering it and putting it in a bottle and selling it at a premium price.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit.
At least I'm getting flavor.
that should be outlawed. That is a crime against humanity.
Oh, yeah.
It's just terrible. And I know bottled water has its place.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, if you're those poor people in Flint, Michigan, who I think are still getting bottled water because they still haven't totally I don't think that's totally fixed. You know what? I have the computer in front of me.
Yeah, well, that whole Flint, Michigan thing is there's a documentary on this bottled water thing on Netflix again. And it's good. It's worth watching. It's all about the Flint, Michigan water crisis. And there was a bottling company not 15 or 20 miles away that bottles spring water in Flint, Michigan, and they refused to run a pipeline into the city to give them fresh water during this crisis. And again, that's a crime against humanity.
Oh, absolutely.
That is absolutely uncalled for. But what are you going to do? We're at the end of the whip. There's not much we can do.
No.
I mean, write your congressman, they never write you back. At least mine doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't care about that because that's who.
They're too busy fighting with each other to fix problems.
Well, and who do you think? They know who brothers.
Oh yeah. Of course, they get their corporate donors and
right?
stuff like that. Yeah, sure.
Or the 6 people who listened to us last week. It's not
It's not that. Thanks to those. Well, it's up to 8 now.
Is it up to 8 now? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but that was a shitty podcast.
Yeah, it was. So that's why I didn't promote it.
Yeah, we're not going to promote that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. When I was cutting it together, I was like, man, we're just not on our game today.
Yeah, no.
I feel much better today.
Yeah, me too.
But no, it's an interesting thing.
The whole food thing and inflation. You need to step back and take a look and do a little research. Be curious, people.
Yes, always.
I don't watch the news because I don't need some talking head telling me how I'm supposed to think.
Yeah.
And I look at the issues, I research them, and I come to my own conclusions.
Yeah.
If they're wrong, they're wrong.
Yeah.
but
Agreed.
I don't think I'm wrong all that often.
Nah.
Once in a while.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Breakfast cereals, General Mills, Kellogg's, and Post.
That's amazing.
That is, let me do the.
So that tells me, is those generic ones that come in the big bags? Those big, huge bags?
Almost 80% of the market, those 3 companies.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my diatribe on food, and we've worked in a little inflation stuff in there and things like that. But President Biden was talking about shrinkflation one day, and I think that's real, and the corporations are doing it, and I think they're doing it to make more money.
Oh yeah.
It's not about inflation. It's about, well, we got the excuse now. We can make these a little smaller and make a little more money, and our bottom line will look better. And the Boeing bottom line. We get our bottom line looking better, but oh geez, these airplanes might crash. Oh shit.
Oh damn.
Oh damn.
Oh well, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Build another one.
Yeah.
Go make more babies.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have.
Okay.
I hope that was good. I don't know.
No, it's interesting.
It's interesting, and stuff like that interests me anyway. I spend half my day just going down rabbit holes, researching stupid stuff. And
speaking of rabbit holes,
yeah.
I would like to talk to you about a wonderful streaming channel. That is a pain in the ass to use, but it's still a wonderful streaming channel. That is Netflix and the Netflix documentary.
I love documentaries.
I can watch those all day.
Yeah.
If I'm not working on movie stuff, if I'm not driving, I'm not playing a game, I'm watching Netflix documentaries. And the other day, I was searching through them because I was like, man, I've watched a lot of these ones. Let's catch back up on some old ones that I may have started but never finished, or just didn't. So I got to Waco.
Oh no. Oh.
I can't. Is it Waco? American Tragedy? American
Tragedy.
Yeah, American Tragedy.
That's what it was.
And it was directed by Tiller Russell. And he's done other things. I meant to look him up. But he's done a lot of, especially Netflix ones. And it's really about what happened. And they go in depth. And they give interviews with the Branch Davidians, which I had no idea that was Dave Idians, and
Yeah,
the guy's David
the
Koresh.
Idians.
Yeah, I never put that together until I saw this thing. I saw it spelled out like, ah,
Yeah, I never really thought about it.
yeah,
To be honest with you.
yeah, and I looked at who else was it? But they cover everything. So you got the ATF agents who were there. You had the FBI who took over. You had the hostage rescue team that was called in, and then you had the hostage negotiation team that was called in, and then you got, of course, the Branch Davidian side of everything. And from the very beginning, two stories. So ATF, what happened was they the Branch Davidians, fact, don't care what Timothy McVeigh wrote in his manifesto when he blew up Oklahoma, which we'll get to him. It's the matter. Fact was they were converting semi-automatic weapons into fully automatic weapons, which is federally illegal. Second, UPS found out about it because they were delivering a package, and you know how sometimes the bottoms of packages get messed up, and a grenade rolled out. Scared the living shit out of the UPS.
So you can order grenades in the mail?
Apparently they could.
Jeez.
So he was freaked out. So he told his boss, and went up the chains to where finally someone told the sheriff in Mount Carmel area, can't remember the county, and told him, hey, something's going on over there. And the sheriff didn't know what to do. So the sheriff's like, I don't know what to do. Let's call the ATF. Get them in here. They asked the ATF to come in. So the ATF was like, all right, these guys are armed. And we don't know how many of them are there. We don't know how many guns. We have no idea. We have no clue. We don't know what we're walking into. So they decided, we're going to bring in our task force. We're going to present them a warrant. So they pull up in their trucks, boom, boom. But on the way, so as they're driving down the road, it catches the eyes of news guys. So the news agency there calls the reporters and, hey, what are you doing? The reporter's like, oh, I'm about to go to church. He goes, no, you're going here. So he gets in his van with his cameraman. They start going. Well, another cameraman is supposed to meet him there. Gets lost. So he pulls over. He stops a mailman and says, hey, how do I get to Mount Carmel? The ATF is about to issue a warrant there. Not knowing that mailman is a Branch Davidian.
Oh, no.
So the Branch Davidian then hauled ass back home to Mount Carmel, told David Koresh. David Koresh said, oh, the day of judgment is on us. And that's his exact words. David Thibodeau, who was I was wondering if you knew him because he's from
David
Northern Maine.
Thibodeau.
Yeah, he's from
I know a lot of
Northern
Thibodeaus, but
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He said what Koresh said to him in there. And how truthful is this guy? I don't know, because his story's vastly different than what everybody else is telling you. So they armed up. And about that time, and then there was an undercover ATF agent in the Branch Davidians. He said, oh shit, I gotta let these guys know. He left. He got in his car and left. He thought he was gonna get shot in the back. So like, where's he going? He just said, no, I'm out. Just ran out. And contact ATF, said they know you're coming. So this is where things get cocked up from a government standpoint. You can tell the government never had to deal with this before. So they're going, what do we do? And the boss of the ATF says, we're here, we got the men, we got to go. And the other officers, the other agents are like, we shouldn't go. We needed the element of surprise. Like, this isn't good. I don't care. Get up on your perches. So you had two snipers with a spotter up on their perches, armed guys, pull up in these trucks, hop out of the trucks, set up, get on their loudspeaker, say, hey, we're here to issue a warrant. David Koresh opens the door. Again, David Thibodeau says he opened the door and said, there's women and children here, hold on. Every ATF agent there says, no, he didn't. He opened the door and said, get the hell off of my property, and slammed the door shut. And then they heard a 50 cal go off, which is a Barrett sniper rifle go off, and it whizzed by one of their guys' ears, and then that's when the shooting started. Of course, then you listen to the David Thibodeau. No, they shot first. The agents are like, we can't have those weapons. They are illegal across the world. Like, this is not an illegal gun to even have. Why? How do they have this? You know. And then they said, we don't have one. Later on, there's pictures of one from a sniper scope. He took a picture of it sticking out, firing at ATF agents. They totally had one. So they opened fire, and they fought for over 2 hours. 4 agents died. 22 were injured. Pulled them off, got out. That's when the FBI came in. And this is where it gets screwed up. So the hostage negotiation team is talking to David Koresh and the guys because David was wounded in there. He got shot 3 times, I think. Once in the hand, once in the stomach, and I think once in the arm or something. And they're talking. So they're negotiating. Well, hostage rescue show up, and they are the type. They're like the Navy SEALs for the FBI. When they're there, someone's gonna die. Like they're looking to end this. So they start. Who's watching the perimeter? So the guy in charge, so the hostage rescue reports to a guy, and the negotiators report to a guy. The guy in charge tells them no one is perimeter. So they said, all right. So while this guy's talking to David Koresh, we're not going to come in, we're not going to do that. HRT pulls up in Bradley fighting vehicles, dismounts, take the barn. Then they go to the other one, take the other barn. So there you got both sides of it. And they're like, we see your guys. And the hostage had no idea. Like, we don't have anybody out there. Well, so he goes to his boss, the guy who told the hostage rescue people, do we have people out there? They go, oh, yeah, I told hostage rescue, you gotta let me know. So this whole thing, there was no communication between departments. And
that's typical.
And it was bumbled from
It's like 9/11 response, nobody's talking to anybody.
It was such a fascinating thing because you're getting these stories, and as the negotiations are going on, he's getting people out. David's nuts. Like, you should hear these recordings. This guy's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks he's Jesus Christ, and he told all of his people, we're going to have a fight one day with the government. And we're all going to burn, which is important. We're all going to burn to death. We're going to come back and with God's army.
Reincarnate.
And reincarnate and come back with God's army and take them down.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, it didn't work, obviously. But they did go up in flames. Eventually, they set fire. It looks like they set fire to their own place. Everyone says the government did it. You can see it in the FLIR footage. You can see fires being started.
Yeah, on the inside?
On the inside. They set fire to their own building. He killed their own people. And unfortunately, media is good, and it's its own worst enemy at times. They very much went after the FBI on this. The FBI didn't do a good job. Those Branch Davidians shouldn't have been doing any of that. So you got to give some leeway here. These guys are working with something they've never had to deal with before. But the things that I found is such a well done documentary that I was just blown away by. It was like really good. I didn't know any of this happened. One of the little side notes is there's a guy out there selling his anti-American government stuff, and he had like little swastikas on him and the hammer and sickle.
Mm-hmm.
And this all happened on April 19th, 1993.
Mm-hmm.
This man was Mr. What's his name there? I just said his name earlier. Timothy McVeigh.
Okay.
He was there selling his anti-Americans because they said all of this only thing that happened, all the FBI did was end up bringing all the gun nuts, the Second Amendment nuts over there. And he was one of them. And he was selling his stuff and his propaganda and anti-government, government, down with the government, you guys are my heroes and all this. And they chased him out. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
A year later, on April 19th, the anniversary, he blew up the Oklahoma City bombing. That happened.
Right.
The guy who was running that whole thing was the FBI director at that office. So this was all connected in this
really? Wow.
insane way that I did not know or understand. And this guy was all connected to all of that. And it's a fascinating story. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to watch it. The problem is then it comes down to recommendations, right? So I'm done with that. I'm like, wow, my brain is, like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then the next one comes in, Web of Make-Believe. It is a 5-part docuseries and 4 different stories. First one is 4chan and how QAnon happened with 4chan. It's all bullshit.
No.
They were all QAnon jokes, and it made it to mainstream media. Hence, Donald Trump is the voice of God and all this bullshit. It's all BS. I mean, it absolutely is. And it's spread like wildfire through there. And it's easy to spread that, but it's really hard to, once you're a true believer, you're a true believer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about all of that and how that corrupted. I guess Japan had the same problem with 2chan, and I think they all but banned it, or they put the kibosh, started getting a lot of anti-democratic issues with it. And the same thing is happening with 4chan, and then 8chan later. 8chan became the big one. And it's kind of about all those. Yeah, they were just shitpost sites where you could, but then they just became full of Nazi propaganda, child pornography. It just became a cesspool of just bad, bad things. And it was all anonymous, so they had no. So if the FBI saw that and said, "Who's putting up the child porn?" The guy who ran the service, like, I don't know. It's all anonymous. I have no idea. I don't keep track of any of that. I can't. You might want to, because we might arrest you, you know. So he had to go through and take all that down, and he had to ban members as he could see that were doing it. As he did know, he just didn't want to say.
Yeah, sure.
And then the second one is, oh God, what was the second? It wasn't as interesting, but it was kind of, but. So I don't really care about that. The third one was most interesting. It was "I Am Not a Nazi." It was about how the alt-right in the internet spread, and how it was taken. The term alt-right was actually used and turned into by guys like David Spencer, who is a neo-Nazi. He's the guy who's doing the Hail Trump thing with the Hitler salute. Hail Trump thing on it's a big Atlantic video on that, the Atlantic magazine. I think a magazine or paper, can't remember. And he's bad. Like, he's not a good person. And it's almost cult-like in how they did things and how they get. Those guys were walking around with the tiki torch, "Jews will not replace us." He started all of that. He did all of that. But he called the movement, he started calling it an alt-right movement, wanting to take over the Republican Party. They felt that they needed a party, but they couldn't come out and say, "We're neo-Nazis. Join us." You know, no, they couldn't do that. So this is, and it's mainly through the eyes of this girl who is young. Well, she's now a young woman, who falls in love with a guy who's a part of this. And she's like, you know, I look back on it now, and he's doing some fucked up stuff. Like, there's no other way you can put it. It's some messed up things. He's saying these horrible things about Jewish people, gay people, black people, people who are white but don't see it. You know, to him, they all have white person to see it. And how there's like a day of hanging, and they're going to hang all of these people. And you can hear the director behind her go, "So he's going to hang all the people, then what? I guess we'll be the perfect white, hating everybody person now." I really didn't understand it myself, but I love the guy. And
so it's a little Hitler-like.
Yeah, it's a little bit, you know. So she ended up just getting sucked into this world. And when Charlottesville happened, when the guy ran over people with the car, yeah, that's when she was like, "No, something's wrong here." And it's like that wake-up call for her. And she completely got away from everything. She ran away. She actually went into hiding for a while because they were threatening to kill her because she knew too much and she understood too much. And it's a fascinating thing. And my favorite one was called Stingray. It was about a guy who was ripping off the government. It's very illegal. He was filing false tax returns of dead people. He got the list of dead people's social security numbers from California. He's like, "People die every day. I can file one of these every day," you know. And he's filing $2.2 million, I think he stole.
Yeah. So
the IRS CI team starts to investigate him, and he's like, this system he's doing it's foolproof. He's killing them. He's just ripping them off, and they can't. And they're frustrated. So when they're frustrated, you ever seen the second Batman movie with Christopher Nolan with the Joker, Keith Ledger Joker?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well now I know where this came from. There's a scene in there where Batman, in desperation, turns on a thing. It's an echolocator where he can hear the entire phone calls from all of Gotham when he's driving through the Batmobile. And Fox says, you know, having power like this is just not right. Like, no. And he said, "Well, you can destroy it when I'm done, but I'm using it." Tell him. He's like, "No, I don't even want you using it." Like, he's like, "No." It's essentially what the IRS did and the FBI did is they took this device called Stingray, and it picks up IP addresses of everybody on a network in an area. So if they were to drive through this network, we would disconnect from the T-Mobile tower, which I think was over there, and it would connect to their car, and they would know who's in this house as they're driving through. And they went through this whole neighborhood trying to find him. They knew about where he was at, because if you had back in the day, you know, they had the cards used to stick to get mobile on your phones or on your computers. So they tracked it, so they figured that out. So then they just drove through this neighborhood with this thing and violated thousands of people's Fourth Amendment rights, you know, to find this kid. And this kid was sitting in jail. By the way, we also have the right to a speedy trial. He was in jail pre-trial for 5.5 years.
Wow.
And he said, "Enough's enough." And he started looking into it. How did they catch me? How did they catch me? And he decided to represent himself. He said, "I'm going to represent me." And the judge, like, "You crazy?" Kid is a genius. This kid is a very smart young man. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to represent myself. So they have to give him the documentation because he knew a lawyer at that time would not understand what he's looking for. So he finds it. He sees somebody wrote in an email that's got submitted evidence, the use of Stingray. And he's like, I know that's it. So he starts looking into what is Stingray. So he starts to subpoena government. And they have to give it to him because it's a trial thing.
Yeah.
So he learns all about how this thing worked. Went to trial, pretty much slapped that on the desk and said, did you guys have, he goes, I would like to submit this to evidence. You guys did not have a warrant for this device. And the judge just sit there and went, wow, he kid got time served. You know, I was like, wow. And then he turned into a advocate of trying to shut that down, governments from using those machines. Because what's to stop, they were suspected of during the Baltimore riot, with the Black Lives Matter riot, when they ran into the white supremacist guys and they got in a big riot, that they were flying drones over with that same technology, picking up whoever was there. And they're like, you can't do that. You know, that's illegal. Like there's like New York Times headlines. Did the government have those drones out there? And then they had those trucks, those vans out there with that on. They're like, you can't do that. These people had a right to protest. They had the right to riot, but the peaceful protest is totally within the law. And they saw evidence of those same things being at other actual peaceful demonstrations and stuff. And that's what this kid is. So people now hire him on. So he went from being a kid, he didn't want to be a part of society, to being a kid who's like, this is bad. Yeah. You know, and so it's a really interesting story. But I do it, and then I left that one, moved on, and I hit the John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, well, let's not go there.
Yeah, those murder.
I have a hard time watching those.
Do you? The murder document. I think they are fascinating because I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know, why do you do this? Like Dahmer, that's another Dahmer one. But Netflix is full of these things.
Oh, and they're good. Most of them are good.
Most of them are very well done. I don't like the ones where there's all like I'm watching. I just started the Bernie Madoff one. That dude's been dirty since the beginning, and yet no one saw that coming. I don't know. It's kind of like, how couldn't you? But then you like hindsight being 2020, you know. But he was the first to use trading computers. He revolutionized it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he could do the deals faster and get them. Yeah. That was very.
Is he still in jail?
I think he died.
He died?
Did Bernie?
Yeah.
I got it up here.
He was kind of old when they threw him in jail anyway, so he could have passed on, I suppose.
Yeah, did Bernie dead? Yep, he was 82.
Oh, okay.
Chronic kidney disease. Yeah, he passed away from the kidney failure.
Yeah, okay.
Good. But, sorry, I have no love for the man. I mean, he ripped people off for billions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm learning all about how that whole thing works. I guess what he would do is every crash, he would go to his investors and say, hey, we crashed. I need money to fill it in. And they're just like, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. So they would fill in, but the problem is when they crashed bad in 2008, that was in the sum of billions. And they couldn't do that. And that's what ultimately got him caught, is when people came saying, hey, Bernie, we're going to pull our money out. And he's like, what? And then the SEC was like, something's going on. And then they came in, pretty much kicked his door. And they called it the Lipstick Building in New York. That's what he was in. Looks like a lipstick container. But man, I could watch these things.
Yeah. But some good stuff on Netflix.
Yeah.
Somebody Feed Phil.
Oh yeah, it's another.
We shouted out Phil in the first one, and we forgot to the last time.
Yeah.
That guy is.
Oh,
what a good show that is.
It's another good documentary, and it's kind of Ted Lasso-y.
Yeah.
It is. You know, he's just a sweet dude. You know,
good dude. He goes around the world eating, and Somebody Feed Phil, and goes to various cities and stuff, and it's so good. It's such a good show.
It is. 7 seasons on. Yeah, 7 seasons.
Yeah, but they're only like 4 or 5 episodes a season.
Yeah, the last 2 I think are 6, and he's filming another one. I think he's going to do an 8th season.
Yeah, that's good. That's worth watching.
Yeah, they do it like once a year. They drop it once a year, I think.
But, yeah, that's good stuff.
But it's fantastic. I could watch and I do, and I just get sucked in. Like I watched that one about the space cult thing. It's not Scientology. It was the other one. Yeah, we're gonna get attacked now by Scientologists. But it was this guy. He's a Frenchman who believed he was a Jesus Christ from a planet, I guess. And these people follow him all over. It's weird. And it's just, you should see how the guy. I gotta look it up again. I showed you pictures of
I saw that.
Yeah, what the hell is that? Someone took that guy seriously?
Yeah.
You know?
See, my documentary watching is usually the science stuff
Yeah.
and things like that.
Oh, I like
don't
that
go-
too,
Yeah, I don't go down the.
I find cults interesting because I'm not at all. Like you always listen to it, so I was looking for that spiritual thing, and I've never had that, and I don't. And there's a part of me that's like, am I not right because I've never had the search for spiritual enlightenment? I don't, or am I the weird one, or is,
I don't know.
I don't know, and I'm always interested in that, and these people take terrible advantage of them.
Oh, sure.
And it's awful stuff, and you're just like, okay, so this is what you need to look for, and I do like those. I recommend the ones that I mentioned, and I think they're fascinating. That one on Waco is just so
Yeah,
well
I might
done.
have to watch that. I could probably sit through that one.
Yeah, Waco is good. I wouldn't make you watch the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes. Those ones
Yeah,
are, that's
I
a
don't
weird
care for
dude.
that stuff.
But the Waco one is quite interesting, and the poisoned one that we were
The
talking
Poisoned,
about.
yes.
That one is one. That's a
highly
Netflix
recommend
one,
that one.
and
Yeah.
that's
I've
one
watched that
that's-
one twice,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, it is really good. It starts out back when the Jack in the Box
Yeah.
hamburger thing, and now it's going on into like salad, the salad stuff we eat, like I eat every day.
Yeah. and-
Every time I pick up a box of that, I think, well, I guess I'll get my potentially deadly salad stuff.
yeah, pretty much.
You know,
And it talks about how the
Hope for the
farming
best.
works and how that business, especially the grains business, has the foxes are watching the hen house.
oh, they are.
And-
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's no oversight.
Yeah, they wanted to, regulate them a little bit, and they decided, oh no,
We'll self-regulate.
we'll self-regulate, and they put together their own little industry organization, whatever you call those things,
I can't remember what.
and self-regulate, but it hasn't fixed the problem.
No, it's.
Not at all. I mean, and you look at food recalls. I was going to go into that too, and I didn't. I kind of forgot about
Oh
it.
yeah,
Dropped
yeah.
it out.
That drop that one. That's an
Yeah,
interesting
but
one.
we'll pick that one back up
Okay,
sometime
yeah.
later on down the road.
Yeah, it is getting a little late.
It is,
but,
yeah. So we.
But that's all I have
rambling
on mine. But I love my documentaries, man. The Netflix lately, they put out one a month, and sometimes it's a crime one, which I love. I'm weird. I don't know. I guess I love. They said Tommy, my friend Tommy, was telling me she was you're into that murder porn. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't either, but she's probably right. And I love them. But then there's also like the ones like Waco. Like this happened in my life, but I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it is really just a fancy.
Yeah, we just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
One thing happens. Okay, we're moving.
Yeah, like, hey, look at this mass shooting. All right, let's move on to the next
Yeah.
mass shooting. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. But I'm hoping the same director does the one on Oklahoma. I hope he does. He is doing one on Oklahoma. I don't know if he is. I have to look him up. But I highly recommend all of those. Watch them. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and watch what you eat.
Yeah, watch. Be careful.
Yeah, it's hard to.
But,
Our food, we got to fix it.
yes, but we can't fix it with this
But
group.
no.
And which brings us to normally would be our week in government, which I don't really have anything scathing.
I don't have anything. I was going to bring up something here local.
Yeah.
Our week in government, but it's not really. It may be a little off topic.
Yeah.
But our local. I'm not a. I don't have a dog in the hunt here.
Okay.
City of Jacksonville, Duval County, which is the same. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. Are in negotiations now with the Jacksonville Jaguars to renovate the stadium.
Yeah.
They're saying it's going to cost $1.5 billion?
Almost as much as the entire Buffalo Bills stadium.
Yeah, so a little over $1 billion, something like that, dollars. And the city is going to foot probably, I don't know, more than half of that money. And at the same time, they're talking about closing some public schools in Duval County and Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville, because they can't afford to maintain them. So where's our priorities here?
Yeah, yeah.
And something else, when we were driving to the baseball game a couple of weeks ago, we went to a ball game, and you come off Interstate 95 and you go on whatever street it is that goes to the sports complex. Can't remember the name of the street.
All those homeless people out there.
All those homeless people and the garbage everywhere.
Yeah.
This city can afford to build $1 billion stadium, but they can't pick up the freaking trash.
No. That's
I
awful.
mean, it's awful. So yeah, that's your week in government.
I'm gonna save mine because I'm kind of reading more of mine. It's kind of about the whole Ukraine thing, and I do think, I hate to say it's gonna be hard. I do think Johnson led a good thing
Yeah, he did. He
to
absolutely
get
did a
them
good thing.
funding.
Yeah,
God,
it just took too long.
Let's save that for next week dinner.
Dinner.
Okay.
Oh, we're being told to get the hell off.
Mama Grape's here to tell us. to
No,
shut
she's telling us to go. Thank you, everyone. I hope that
up. I got one thing.
Okay.
I have another
Oh,
Frank Zappa quote for you.
Okay, go for
Said
it.
this with a Frank Zappa quote. Power will be maintained by the groovy guy or gal who gets the most media coverage for his sleaze. Naturally, his friends in various businesses will do okay too.
That sounds so familiar. On that note, like, subscribe. I hope we were a little bit better today. I felt better today, so I think
Yeah,
we're
me
better
too.
today.
Hopefully we're better and we'll get better.
And we'll keep working at it. Remember, we're tenacious that way. You
Or
guys-
stupid, one or the other.
Or bored. I'm not sure yet. But everyone have a wonderful day, night, evening, whenever you're listening to this. And we will talk to you next week. Thanks, and bye-bye.
Take care.